a little update for you. It has gone cold here. Can you tell from all my layers? I had to put a sweatshirt on underneath my sweater, and I kept hearing the long game. So much of the energetics right now with, I think, Saturn conjuncting the North Node is really looking at the long game with our collective transformation and all of the integrative learning over the years. Those of us that are in the sort of spiritual awakening and coming back into love and healing family systems, healing ancestral trauma, and how that is grounding and anchoring in new paradigm reality. And there's something about the new paradigm reality to me that is co-creative and much more collective versus individualistic and narcissistic in nature. So the more and more humans healing those attachments, right, to egoic identification, so using status, money, relationship, using those external factors as a way to self-identify, and healing and parenting in different ways, and allowing a lot more of the individual essence to shine through in the collective. So that's really the long game as far as I think about aspects of my own journey of the galactic energy and very cosmic, high vibration, spiritual energy, and how we anchor that into the earth. And I guess the reality, Saturn high, the reality of time and timelines, as far as we can talk about collapsing timelines, but even that usually takes time, right, to collapse one structure or multiple structures and arrive at new structures. And I can testify to that even in these last couple weeks of having a lot of space to heal more, integrate more, sleep more. That's all a part of it, because a lot of this new paradigm or these healing structures are really about allowing the body's intelligence to be anchored. So that means listening to the subtle sensations, being mindful of our emotions and our thoughts, right? And how that often does require periods of solitude, sacred solitude, though, right? Where it's not like wallowing in aloneness or isolation, but allowing that solitude to anchor in the new you, as it were, and how that's the long game as far as living in that regenesis, living in that presence, right, for self, for other, and how that collectively recreates the way we parent, the way we self-parent, right? Because that has a lot to do with structuring in new ways of parenting and honoring our children, or honoring the people in our lives, right? Because the way we relate to ourselves is fundamentally how we relate to other. So having a lot more self-compassion. And again, when it comes to business structures, it just, to me, is shifting into a lot more of a collective structure. So we knowing the self is connected to other in the quantum, there's no need for greed, self-aggrandizement, and hoarding wealth, and certainly hoarding the earth's resources. So when we anchor in our healed self, or more healed self, because I think it's just an ongoing human endeavor, is self-actualization. The more we anchor that in, the more we're able to show up in our autonomy with the collective, right? And then that appears as more co-collaboration, or collaboration even. I think of a business that I taught yoga on the rooftop of a business that I really, back in 2019 in southern Portugal, where it was a cafe. They did amazing food. It was a couple that had a baby who ran it. And then often at the weekends, they would have like vintage fairs or just local creatives that would come in and set up their stalls, or like, as I said, like the vintage people will come in and set up their stalls at the weekend. They would have gigs in the evening, so musicians would come in. But then the cafe itself and the restaurant itself also within the business premise had a laundry facility. So travelers could come in and do their laundry. There was like a donation exchange book area where, you know, you could read books and put books there. And you know, especially travelers, because books are heavy, we often want to just pick up a book and then lay it down. Lots of different seating and cushion seating, and then of course the yoga on the rooftop. And I remember at that time thinking, yeah, this is a model of new paradigm businesses, where there's various different sort of aspects of a business in one space, where people can meet and have fun and, you know, come and go and enjoy really good food and do their yoga and go surfing and then come and do their laundry. And how it's a collaborative effort, which obviously takes a lot of the pressure off of the individual, because we can see with late stage capitalism, or, you know, the collapsing of these old paradigm structures, that the divide, the great, you know, this huge division of working class and you know, people trying to get ahead, and versus just a few people that seemingly own the world's resources and enslave people, and then sell those resources back to those same people that are enslaved to try to keep the economy going, right? That a lot of those structures of individuation and again, narcissism and stuff are falling away through the light of our awareness. And this is where we understand that our collective agreements, for years people have spoken about spiritual awakening, mass spiritual awakening, and paradigm shifts and such things. And similarly, over 20 years ago, being guided by an insight of paradigm shift, and then the kind of destructuring or collapsing of structures and timelines within self then ushers in a co-creative aspect, where I too, in All to Love, am co-creating with people who resonate with the vibratories, right? And who are also awakening to their own divine essence, wanting to live more en flow. And that en flow is just continuing to inspire, again, this sense of miraculous nature, that it's by surrendering control. It's surrendering judgment. A lot of the outworking, or, you know, unraveling, is really just unraveling guilt, structures that things like guilt and shame uphold. Like, often myself, and I've worked with people who, when they start healing and honoring the body, they're like, oh, like even just having a lazy day, or having a day where they don't feel like doing too much, that makes them feel guilty, because we're so programmed to prioritize being busy. Like, if I'm busy and productive, I'm good. Or even not being good, being a good person, and people pleasing, where there's masks usually attached. Again, there's egoic structure attached to being the good person, rather than seeing oneself as a whole self that has a shadow, right? With the shadow would be deemed as the bad stuff, which is where we see different generational trauma, you know, in pathological disorders, where there's masks to the shame, which is so much to do with our emotional awareness. And again, the way we express it in words, we can say like a patriarchal structure, which denies the feminine within us, right? Or a kind of mechanistic matrix, false matrix, which would have us all be robotic and just function within the grid of productivity, rather than holistic beings which flow with nature herself. So, like, we have rainy days, we have sunny days, we have the night and the dark, or sorry, pardon me, the night and the day, dark and light, winter and summer, you know, and then or sandstorms and monsoons. So there's always going to be these fluctuations in this earthly realm, which we ourselves are a part of, are one with. But we don't attune to that until we're really attuning to our body. And then certainly why astrology is becoming more relevant to more people is because we recognize our quantum connection. So yes, we're earthly beings and we're having an earthly experience, but we are also inherently cosmic intergalactic beings in essence, in our eternal infinite state. We have connections to other planetary systems. We have connections to star systems. We have connections to the stars and the planets as we integrate, because Earth has a relationship in a celestial divine cosmic dance, right? The Earth has a sort of a sibling-like connection to the sun, the moon, to Mercury, etc. And the more we individually kind of connect to that intergalactic cosmic state, the more we have an understanding of everyone else as their own eternal, infinite cosmic being having an earthly experience. So, and that all of that sort of connects back to self-compassion. We have compassion for self. We have a deeper understanding of why and how people behave the way they behave, and why certain people might have certain pathological kind of distortions, and allowing it to be there. Because the more we surrender and the more we relinquish control, the more we sort of give people back their divine essence. That truly, truly everyone's here on their own cosmic journey, and that is divine and it is beautiful. And the more I let go of control, the more I can just see the wellspring of awakening, the more I can just witness the natural unfolding of this cosmic life, which of course imbues the physical essence with more joy, more benevolence, more like just miraculous nature, which of course is amazing. That's what we all are kind of here for, as far as like those original inception spiritual awakening moments in my own reality are now just the anchored kind of norm, where every day I can be taken in an awe-inspiring moment just by hearing the bird song, or witnessing the sunshine, or the torrential rain, right? Connecting to creatures. And of course, connecting with the beings that I align with, which even that is a very divine unfolding. You know, when you've kind of retreated, or you've moved around a lot, or had some people come in and some people fall away, and then before you know it, you realize you've really anchored in these divine reflections that reflect to you your star power, that reflect to you your inspiration, that reflect to you your love, your compassion, versus the other, versus the people that reflected to us our control mechanisms, the people that reflected to us our own shadow, right? And once we get to the integrated healing version of self, we can see what parts of us. That's the beauty of self-reflection, self-study, and of course emotional alchemy, is like really seeing the parts of us that attracted that energy, the parts of us that needed that lesson. You know, if even to prompt us to move somewhere else, or even to prompt us to alchemize that shadow so that we're not inviting that same energy. And again, to each their own. But I think feeling our emotions is such a huge piece. And then relating to the body with compassion, to allow ourselves the sleep, the rest, or the movement, the creation, right? Like just that continual, somewhat paradoxical unfolding of our existence, which if we're here for it. You know, we are really here for it. All right, my lovers, thank you for being here. I hope that update was useful to you. I'm gonna call it. I feel the inspirational flow has come to an end. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're looking after yourself. Feel free to reach out for any topic shares. I'll continue with these updates, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Take care. Peace out.